name is Madison with Stanley and Associates, and today I am joined by our esteemed attorneys Dustin Brown and Jacob Huey. And today we will be diving into Reddit, specifically r/legal advice. Now, despite that title, nothing you hear today is or should be taken as legal advice. If you are in need of legal advice, we highly recommend you reach out to an attorney. Other than that, thanks for watching, and let's just get into it. So, not much experience on Reddit.
Not much.
Sometimes I click on there.
Yeah. There can be some interesting stories, and really, if there's something you need to know, they'll probably have it on there.
I don't follow the subreddits. I know it's r/ or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's about the extent of my knowledge.
I've found myself in Reddit. I've downloaded the app. That's a start.
Yeah.
But I'll find myself that it'll say go to the app, then it just completely takes you away from the topic you're reading.
Exactly.
So they should probably fix that.
And you will hear some of the most egregious stories on there, and you're like, do these people really exist? Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they're fake stories, but sometimes these people are out there walking amongst us. So on r/legal advice, we're going to start with something pretty basic. All of these are pretty basic and personal injury related. This one was posted 5 months ago, and it's titled, Teenage Son Being Sued for Personal Injury. He is 18. He's a good kid. He made a U-turn in a median U-turn intersection, only to be rear-ended by an oncoming driver. He had 2 people in the car with him at the time. We figured the velocity was about 35 miles per hour as he was pulling away when the driver hit him. The damage to his car was literally just a dent in the fiberglass bumper and a bent muffler. Physically, he is fine. He was just sore for a day or 2. He was ticketed for an improper U-turn. The other driver, of course, brand new, in quotations, daddy just bought her a new car. Damage to her car was moderate, as I understand it. She claimed severe injury on site verbally, but the citation does not. The serious bodily injury box was not checked. She called a billboard personal injury lawyer straight away. He went to court. They called witnesses, fought the ticket, pled no contest. I'm assuming he did a misspelling here, and walked out with withhold of education, no points, no conviction, no school, and court costs. I have been clocking her Facebook. She is an oversharer. She has been clocking
or stalking.
She has been living her best life since a week after the accident. Theme parks, roller coasters, rock climbing, you name it. No mark on her neck, no guarding, no brace, nothing. He received his summons yesterday. She is suing him for $50,000, exclusive of court costs, lawyer fees, etc. My question, can we fight this? Does the non-conviction hold any weight? He's a broke teenager. Should he just default as he is insolvent or judgment-proof? So I'm not sure.
There's a lot going on here.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
It's pretty basic.
I get it. First off, we have to understand this lady is defensive of her son.
That's
It's very clear. She's doing everything that shows what a mother should do and would do. Now, she might not be as educated about how this whole system works. So it's very common for people to be scared if they get a lawsuit against them or someone sends them a mean letter. And I understand, before I became in this field, if I had seen that, I would have been scared too. So you can tell she's very defensive. The first thing I'm wondering is if you have insurance, you got to understand who defends you. You don't have to pay. If you have insurance, you've paid for your defense. So the insurance is going to defend you in a lawsuit like this. And they're going to be more reasonable. They're going to see, hey, 18-year-old son doing a U-turn, you might be at fault here, And a lot of times we see children come in or children, when I say children, I mean anything from 21 and under. Their moms do not want to understand that they could be at fault, but the majority of the time they're probably at fault. If they're suing for $50,000, that could be the insurance policy is what I'm thinking, because a lot of the times insurance policies, they cap out at 30, then 50, then 100 in Texas, and then they go to $1 million. So they might have sent the demand to their house or sent a demand to their insurance company that said, hey, we'll take your entire insurance policy of $50,000. I can guarantee you that there's not a lawyer trying to put a judgment on an 18-year-old. I mean, for the most part, all of your assets are completely protected by Texas law, including a house, your car, all of your money. Unless you're incredibly rich, most of your assets are protected in a judgment anyway. Attorneys don't work for free, And if you're going to spend all the time it takes to go to a trial and get a judgment, 90% of the time, if you see that a defendant is asset proof, or if he's younger or something like that, you don't want to pursue that case to a trial anyway. Um, there may be some different things. If it's a doctor on the other side, you do your research on the other person. Most of the injuries that occur in a car accident don't require a brace or don't require, like it's not a broken arm or stitches. A lot of it is soft tissue injuries, which you can only find out from an MRI. And a lot of it won't put, if you have a MRI a couple weeks after the accident, and let's say this lady, this little, I guess it sounded like she was younger too, like 18 or something. Mm-hmm. An 18-year-old could have an MRI and it come up as a positive herniation, and it could be 3-4 millimeter herniation, and she could look completely fine, she could act completely fine. But it's important to understand that that's a permanent injury, which I'm sure we'll talk about later.
I would say I take a lot of depositions of defendants, and very rarely do they agree that they were at fault. So the basics I see here, the kid's at fault, made an illegal U-turn, she ran into the back of it. You got a ticket at the scene from the police officer who investigated this thing. The mother, as you accurately pointed out, is going to great lengths to explain this, and this, and this, as to why he's not at fault, or why what she's trying to say is this girl's faking her lawsuit to get money. That's really what she's trying to say. But people have to continue life with back and neck pain. And not everybody is going to be laying in a bed forever, right? They may go here, they may go there. They're going to post a picture on something. They might smile in a picture, on social media. Doesn't mean that they're not injured, right? So I would say yes. Call your insurance company if you get sued and get them to give you a lawyer. They will handle it. You might even never hear from them again. It might get taken care of. Everybody wants to cite how much they're being sued for in the petition, but in Texas, you actually have to plead a certain level of damages in order to get into a certain discovery level. So that's kind of set out by law a lot of times, and I wouldn't think much about it. Just hand it over to your insurance company, and quickly, because if you don't, then you get a default. The next thing is sometimes I'll sue the parents too, if they own the car. So luckily you're not in that situation. That might have made her real mad. And not, how many people are really wearing a neck brace from a car wreck injury? That's from the movies. That's not people get them, yes, but a lot of our cases is low back pain, for instance. So I'd say, the basics here is he's at fault, accept that, and get your insurance company involved. They'll provide a defense. They're going to also settle the case for you. You don't pay for that. And I'd probably, let your son know, don't make illegal U-turns.
Yeah, and also there's a big lesson. If you do get in a car accident and you do pursue a claim, people will look at your Facebook. People will see what you're doing. And yeah, this can totally mitigate the damages that they're asking for. It doesn't mean she's not injured, but yeah, if you were on a jury and you saw some of these photos come across that she had posted on Facebook, it can definitely mitigate the amount that you're able to get. That's just part of how this goes. We're arguing there's an injury and the other side's arguing it's completely fake. Doesn't mean that, that they're correct because someone goes on a roller coaster. How many times do you hear about high school football players going back in the game? And that's playing a very physical sport. So you can definitely still be injured and do a roller coaster. So it really just depends when all the evidence is there. So if she does hire an insurance company or tell her insurance company, if she hasn't, she needs to do that immediately because they could be missing deadlines. Then they need to send those photos over to the insurance company too. And it can just only help their defense on the case, right?
And then what she's, just one more thing, about the insurance company is like, and the lawyers doing this, like, no one's out to sue an 18-year-old and for $50,000. I didn't have $50,000 when I was 18, right? Like, so that's not what's happening here. Most attorneys are not going to, like, for instance, let's say he was an uninsured driver. This lawsuit wouldn't be going on. You need to have, liability. For instance, he's at fault. You need to have damages. She got hurt. You need to have recoverability. And the insurance company, luckily for you guys, is going to step in that spot right there.
A lot of the comments to this story just urge her to let insurance attorney handle it. One person who is a paralegal, they commented, again, forward this information to the insurance carrier. Don't flip out about the number, but also they say, as someone else said, be careful about intruding too much into this case. I know the urge to scour her social media. She's had a client, or they have had a client that has attempted to do their own surveillance and took screenshots and do everything. But once you talk to legal counsel, let them take over. You want independent third parties doing this kind of work. Your attorney will probably have investigators. And doing this stuff yourself, you risk becoming a witness to your son's own case.
It's getting into the weeds a little bit, but probably won't ever come up in this case. But there's some potential.
Yeah, and I get it. He's 18. He's still a child. He's still a teenager. But also, in the eyes of the law, he's an adult, and maybe we let him learn his lesson a little bit. I don't think he's gonna get sued for $50,000, but
I think if this happened, this was posted 5 months ago. The case is probably done by now, right?
no update that.
And also it's important to know that, and I'm a plaintiff's attorney, right? I'm not an insurance attorney. Most of the time there is a lawsuit because the insurance attorney isn't negotiating at all. So, that's what forces us to file a lawsuit. So if we've ever filed a lawsuit on an 18-year-old, it's because the insurance adjuster is not paying the insurance that they've been getting paid for years by either the parents or the person themselves. I'd be pretty frustrated if my insurance did not pay and I found out what they were offering, to settle the case.
Look, this was posted. So this is, when you watch Law and Order, you think that criminal trial happens in 30 minutes, right? Because you're watching a TV show.
Yeah.
But probably what happened was this wreck occurred a year before they got sued, probably. So when she gets sued, that's when she goes onto the social media and looks at all this stuff like this. So I don't know if those are up to date, but there's a long time there, and don't be afraid. If you get sued, just call your insurance company and say, hey, you haven't settled this yet? Just settle. Give them the money. I don't want to be sued. What are you doing to me? Right? They're dragging you into it. Now you're going to be worried at night because you got served.
Yeah. You get the additional stress. You got additional time you got to take out of the way.
Yeah,
she's scouring around Reddit.
Exactly.
All that stuff because they might save $1,000 or a few $1,000s, and just doesn't, There's a lot of times people can be reasonable in their offers, especially if there's a lot of bad evidence. But for the most part, can't do anything if you don't get offers. You gotta go forward, and you gotta force the insurance companies to open up their checkbooks a little bit.
So this one was posted 7 days ago, and it is simply titled Auto Accident. Hello, I just have a question. I was involved in an auto accident earlier this week. It is not my fault. The other guy got the ticket, and my car was totaled. Since the day it happened, I have been suffering from moderate neck, upper back, and shoulder pain, which has taken me out of work. The state in which I live happens to be a no-fault state, which I didn't know. I only moved here about 4 months ago. Because it is a no-fault state, the insurance of the person at fault will not cover my medical expenses. Unfortunately, because I did not know it was a no-fault state, my own insurance will not cover me either, since I do not have personal injury protection. My question is, do I have a legal right to sue the insurance of the person responsible, or am I just screwed and have to suffer through my injuries without any compensation for any medical care I might wish to receive?
Why are you posting this on Reddit, right? Call an attorney in that state. I don't think this is Texas. My experience is that in the no-fault state, the reason it's a no-fault state is because you're required to have the PIP coverage. I believe that you have the PIP coverage. And what this does, I think it protects people from uninsured drivers because now they're guaranteed to have their own amount of coverage. But also it's limited, and what no fault means is that it should pay whether or not you're at fault. It doesn't matter who's at fault, it will pay.
What we have personal injury protection and underinsured motorist protection, and those are, PIP is no fault. It means that no matter what, doesn't matter who's at fault, you'll have a certain amount. If you have that type of coverage in Texas, you'll have that amount to help pay for your medical bills. But really, I think she just needs to call an attorney because those medical bills could look a lot higher than the attorney's going to make them. We have
Or it could be higher than the PIP.
Yeah, and so a lot of the times the attorneys they work with reducing medical bills. That's part of the process that you are paying for, right? So we never, if we settle a case, we've never given a client zero money. You know, we've always given money and their medical bills and paid for our services. So and usually, if you look online, it's 99%. It's a lot more money than they would have got if they had done it themselves. So it's important to call attorney because, you know, not only the negotiation, not only the ability to file a lawsuit, which forces insurance companies to spend more money knowing that there could be a lawsuit involved, but just our ability to work with these providers and these health insurance companies and these medical bill doctors, like that's a huge part of the process. Sometimes people are in major accidents and they tender their own policy. They get offered all the money from the insurance company and they still come to us just to finish it out, reduce all the medical bills, get them as much money as possible in their pocket from the settlement, versus what the insurance company would like to do is just say, hey, we'll pay all your medical bills. There, we just settled the case, and then we'll give you $300.
Yeah, thanks for nothing.
Yeah, that's not what we go for. We go to see how far can we reduce those medical bills, and we do it every day. I mean, I remember the first time trying to reduce medical bills, I was timid, or reducing any bill, like a toll tag. I remember just calling the person, hey, I got to reduce my toll tag bill. I'm nervous about that. If you don't know what you're doing, you don't do it every day. It's like any job. We do it all the time. Leave it up to professionals. We'll get it done very quickly. And it will take all the stress. Think about something else, you know, and we'll take it all away from you.
I think Florida and Michigan are two no-fault states that come to mind. This person's probably in Florida because a lot of people live in Florida. But probably what happened was she moved there and didn't get her car insurance adjusted, so she's probably still driving under her you know, she probably just been paying for car insurance, and she's just like, you know, that's paid up. I'm, you know, not adjusting here. So if you're in another state and you get in a wreck, sometimes your car insurance will convert to whatever that state requires. But like, I mean, the basics of this is talk to an attorney. I mean, talk to a local attorney that can handle those. I mean, I don't, I mean, I'm sure she's just, you know, laying in bed and not posting this question on Reddit, but she's probably already gotten a good answer by now from.
No, she hasn't.
Oh, real well then.
No, somebody just asked her if she had health insurance, and she's like, "Yeah, but that's not the point." And
This is a good point.
I would agree, but yeah, I mean, yeah, you do have the legal right to sue. You have the legal right to speak to an attorney and let them advise you on what you need to do because they're going to be the expert in that state. I wouldn't take it upon yourself to go online and look up, you know, legal jargon that you don't understand, that you've never had experience with. Obtain an attorney.
That's what Google's for, right? I mean, but if you're in Florida, just you can Google what's a no-fault state mean, and you're probably going to get a bunch of attorney advertisements saying "call me about your car wreck."
Absolutely.
But in this case, she doesn't have an answer, so you know, call the local attorney. But you know, whether or not you can sue, yes, but you're not going to do it yourself. You're going to hire an attorney to do that anyway. So, but what about this, Jacob? Go to the doctor. Okay, that's another thing. Go to the doctor in those no-fault states. They can look at the PIP situation themselves. So you don't want to wait. The longer you wait from a car wreck to go to get checked out by a doctor if you're in pain, you know, that just, it doesn't help. It kind of hurts a little bit. So I would say in the meantime, go to the doctor and you've got that going on. Go see a lawyer that afternoon.
So this was posted 17 days ago. The title is Defendant Dies in Personal Injury Lawsuit. Now they're coming after the heir. Hi everyone, I live in Texas and this is happening to a family member of mine. Here's the scenario. Joe rear-ended a lady who was claiming an injury. The impact was very light, the damage to the automobile was very minimal. The lady filed a lawsuit against Joe. During this process, Joe dies before anything is settled. Now, 10 months later, after Joe's death, his son, Joe Jr., is sent a letter saying he needs to appear in court because apparently, now they're going after him. Is this even legal? Can they really hold Joe Jr. responsible for his father's actions? And what can we do to make this go away? Joe Jr. is very stressed over this problem, and he is only 21 years old, not wealthy at all.
All right. Joe, they're not going after Joe Jr. Okay, he's stepping in as a placeholder almost. There's a specific rule in Texas that allows for this, and I've done it many times, and the person just steps in. They generally don't know anything about the wreck, and the same insurance policy handles it the entire time. So they don't even, Joe Jr.'s insurance doesn't even get involved. It's still the same insurance policy. You just need like someone to step into the shoes of the guy who passed away. So it's not a big deal. He's been served. They probably, depending on where they're at in the lawsuit, there may even be a lawyer already involved. So not a big deal. I guess without knowing who your dad's insurance company was, I would just contact my insurance company, say I've been sued, because my father passed away, blah, blah, blah. They'll be able to track it down and help you out. The next thing, everyone wants to say, just like the lady with the 18-year-old, well, there's minimal damage to the car. They weren't going fast. What everybody's really saying is, how could they be hurt in this wreck? Okay, so Jacob, if I asked you to go out in the parking lot and stand there while I run into you with my car, I'm only going to go 15 miles an hour, okay? But you're just standing there. Is that something you sign up for? No.
No, I wouldn't sign up for that.
No. And everybody's like, oh, the damage. Okay, well, cars, those that they're made to absorb impact, for one thing, especially from the rear. So that bumper can pop out. And if you look at videos online of people going relatively low speeds, and you look at what happens to the dummy in the front seat, they're jacked up. So this is what this is really trying to say is, why'd you sue me? You couldn't be hurt, which is not true at all. There's very little evidence, if any at all, to correlate property damage to level of severity of your injury. Plus, you've got what we call eggshell plaintiffs. Let's say you had somebody riding around in a car who had a recent neck surgery, or just call them an eggshell or whatever, and someone gets hit at a low speed, but they have a severe injury because they had something already that made them a little bit susceptible. You're still responsible for that injury because they wouldn't have that injury if you hadn't hit them from behind or from the side or front or whatever. So this notion that people can't be injured when there's no property damage is just something we deal with because we have to, but ultimately there's really no evidence of that. It's just this person trying to say they couldn't be hurt when it's just not true. And most people who I would say most people have these views because they're trying to protect themselves, right? They're like, oh no, I've got to come up with some argument as to why this is a bunch of baloney, But when that person gets into a wreck, and the car is only going 25 miles an hour, okay? When they get in that wreck, what do they say? The car smashed into me.
Yeah.
Like their story changes a little bit because now they're the ones who've been hit.
Right.
And their pain is now real, so that all that becomes real to them.
I mean, if people don't think that's a big deal, try throwing yourself out of a car going like 5-10 miles per hour and see how much damage you sustain. I mean,
I gotta say though, like before getting into this field, like there isn't a bias you get when you look at a small property damage accident. I had it before too, but when you really look, like you said, when you really look into the studies, there's zero evidence that the property damage is directly related. So, what we do in a lot of these situations is we would hire an expert, to come and explain how the force is transferred. And that's why a lot of these, you see a lot of verdicts out there with low property damage, because once you actually get explained it by an expert, like an engineer, someone from NASA that we've got, you understand that none of the studies show that. But I get it from most people's point of view, the small property damage. You don't know everything from a photo, right? A lot of times we get photos with Jeeps. You know how Jeeps have that tire on the back, right? 90% of the time there's zero property damage on a Jeep. But if you actually hit that thing, it goes flying. If you've ever, I'm sure many of you guys have not seen a Jeep get hit, but that's just what happens. I'm used to seeing the back of a Jeep with zero property damage, and the guy's like, it's a 40-mile-per-hour accident or something like that.
Or a truck with a trailer.
Or a truck with a trailer hitch, and you look at it, and you're like, there's nothing here. And then you ask the insurance company, hey, where's the other photo? Where's the other photo of the other car? Like,
Yeah.
where's the other photo? Then you see it smashed in. So there's so much more to it, and depending on how they get hit, and yeah, it can definitely, as I say, mitigate damages on a case with the property damage, because the jury, first off, that's part of what the trial would be getting over that hump of looking at a low property damage photo. So clearly it's more clear in people's eyes when they see a lot of property damage, but with the right experts and the understanding of how, you know, force is transferred, then you understand that it really doesn't have that much to do with it, the property damage.
Part of the injury is because you're not expecting it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're just standing here and just picture in your mind, so they're just standing here, and someone just pushes you in the back, and you don't know they're there. Immediately, you're in your mind, you're thinking, like, "Good Lord, what are you doing?"
Well, you don't know
You're
how
like,
to brace for it.
Well, you're not braced, so you're just, and immediately your neck goes like this, and then it goes forward, and you're not thinking about it. You're not braced. You don't see it coming,
I mean,
and that's just someone pushing you like kids do on a playground.
but when you're playing sports and your job is to get pushed, I mean, it's not a very common thing, you know. I used to play running back. Like,
Yeah.
You're so used to those motions, used to getting hit. You're very focused. You understand it's coming. But like you said, when it's not coming, that's when you can get injured.
It's the unexpected nature of the jolt.
So coming back to the story, do you think it's fair that this affects Joe Jr. at all? I mean, you said he's just a placeholder, but like,
No, the
does it-
stress, it just comes back to, like, everybody needs to know, to give the stress to the attorney. The attorney will walk you through everything. That's what Joe Jr. needs to do. He needs to find whether it's his insurance, whether it's if he knows his father's insurance. I get it. 21-year-old doesn't want to deal with this stuff. No one does.
Right.
Really. You get a little bit better when you get older about dealing with it because you've done it a few times. So it's part of the growing up experience dealing with lawyers, unfortunately, and insurance companies. But yeah, he needs to figure it out. The lawyer will walk him through everything. He's just a placeholder. It's nothing different than if we sue a business and they have to stick someone to do a deposition. It's not them getting sued, but they're now in place of that business, you know? So
I would tell them, I don't want to deal with this. Settle the case.
yeah.
Like, if they've made a demand, pay the demand. Settle the case. What are the limits in this case? People are not savvy. You know, I get it. I'm not savvy about a lot of things I don't know about either. But there's a certain amount of policy limits on these individual cases that comes into play. And if it's a minimum policy, like 30,000 in Texas or 25 in some states or 15 or whatever it is, just pay that money and move on. And don't drag me into this. You're certainly able to voice some opposition. And I will say that it doesn't have to be Joe Jr. I just wrote down this case right now. A defendant or a guy who was driving and was a defendant in one of our cases. He passed away. He was elderly, passed away. I got to pick somebody, and it's possible you could have another heir, or if there's a state set up, you know, it could be the administrator of the state. All these other things. But I think it's just the, hey, you got served. Oh no, what do I do? That turns into, oh, I'll call the insurance company and they'll just keep
Yeah, they'll
handling
do
the
it.
case.
I've been in a lot of car accidents when I was younger. I think that's why I like this field. But I never heard from any of those things. And I think I found out that there was a lot of settlements involved, but probably because I just said I was at fault on every single one of those phone calls, which, you know, whatever. They were like, we don't want to
Yeah.
argue that guy.
No,
I mean, I was at fault. So
yeah,
you
own
know,
up to it.
I never-
That's very responsible.
never really heard. I'm sure plenty of people settled against my insurance company because my insurance shot up. That's what happened. But you know, eventually it went back down. Now it's very low. So that's what happens. And you know, if you had given me the choice for my insurance to go up $100, $200 versus go through the stress of a lawsuit, give me that insurance every single time. I don't want to.
Well, that's their
Be
job,
dealing with
right?
it.
Wouldn't
That's
your-
what you pay them for.
That's what you
their
pay 'em
job.
for.
Wouldn't your insurance go up anyway?
Oh, they'll go up anyway.
Yeah.
Mine's gone up all of a sudden again. I haven't been in an accident. I haven't gotten a ticket in years. So you have to keep reducing your insurance. Every 2 years I go and I look at, what is that app? There's an app. That's what we need to get sponsored for right there. The app. They can compare all the insurance prices and it takes one click and you can switch over to a new insurance. The same policy, cheaper rate. So you got to remember to do that because they're just going to keep increasing it. And a lot of times, like, they'll add coverages that I think are very important, but some people don't even want, and you won't even know you have it. Like, I didn't even know I had a bunch of insurance that I was paying for years. So knowing all that stuff's important, but a lot of people just want to look at their rate. And I think that if you want to lower your insurance, the best way to do it is to look at all the different prices and just switch it over. It's really just.
I think people like, just with these examples, it's not your job every day. So when you get sued, it's a once in a lifetime thing almost. For us, we're suing people all the time. It becomes normalized. Yeah, not a big deal. Call your insurance company. And people post. I see other posts other places where they're always asking this question. What do I do? It's pretty explanatory on the citation. I don't know if it says. I don't think it says call your insurance company, but ultimately that's what your car. The same thing for homeowners insurance. The same thing for an apartment complex. You could have a small business owner that owns a little 5-unit apartment complex, and he could get served with a lawsuit because somebody slipped and fell there, or whatever the case may be. And just call your insurance company. Like, that's what they do. A lot of those small business guys, they want to try to avoid it. So, apartment complex, maybe a gas station, maybe some of those guys who are not huge, corporations with millions of dollars of legal fees that they pay every year. They're worried. They're scared too. Like, I don't want to deal with this. I'm just going to throw it away and act like I never got it. And it's not the best thing. Just call your insurance company. Hey, I got this letter. I need you to handle it. That's the best way. Because, a lot of times we don't even get the insurance information from those little businesses.
A lot of times.
They're just unresponsive. They think you'll go away. But the secret is that if there's an attorney sending you a letter, they don't just go away most of the time.
Yeah, I'd say the lesson is call your attorney, call your insurance company. After you're in a car accident, I can tell you I've had thousands of phone calls with people right after an accident. It is incredibly stressful. A lot of people say, oh, you're suing this person. But you don't realize people don't have a car. They're living paycheck by paycheck. And they're stuck out. They're in pain. They feel like they're getting judged. They have no direction. So, and a lot of people call in 6 months after the accident, and they've already messed their entire case up because they wanted to do it themselves. We don't cost anything up front. It's all a contingency fee. We need these things started from the very beginning. We will calm everything down. We will make this a very easy process, and that's the most important thing. That's what attorneys do. We take the stress away from you guys. There are lawsuits that I would not want to represent myself for that aren't involved in something I'm specialized in, right? So we understand that, this is the most important thing. Call someone else. Don't look at, Reddit's fun, but don't find your answers everywhere in Reddit. Have a professional take all of that stress away from you so you can focus on your life, right? So
or focus on going to the doctor and getting better, getting fixed up.
Yeah, because an attorney is somebody you can ask stupid questions. I say stupid questions because, there's very specific questions you'll look up online, you think that have a basic answer. The attorney's going to know what to do. So it may sound like a lot. It may sound jarring or expensive. Get an attorney to deal with it for you. Give it to them and let them, let them have it.
And again, even if you don't have a case, or you don't think you do, call anyway, because most attorneys like us do not charge for the phone call, do not charge for the consultation. So it's basically just call, and we only take cases that, we think that there's a good probability of winning. So, if you do have a case, just run it by somebody, and even if it's a turn down or if it's something that we wouldn't take or another company would take, you'll learn from just speaking to somebody who deals with this on a daily basis.
But for sure, you can ask questions, get answers without having to put down a huge fee, and just, it's better. It's better than just trying to Google your way out of it.
Yeah, don't Google away.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any suggestions for any future videos, go ahead and leave a comment. And as always, like and subscribe. Subscribe to our other social media platforms, and all the stories that were said here today will be linked down in the description box below. Thanks so much, and you guys have a great day.